normal black belt that like is pretty funny. But he, I like him. He's a good guy. I just think that's the most I've been around him. Really, I never really been on set with him. I don't think with Curtis.
Well, he was Purvis.
Yeah, but even then, that's so busy. You just don't get a chance to like interact. I didn't get to talk to him. Oh, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I got to talk to him quite a bit this weekend. So
we were always cracking the whip on David. There was no chance for him to act. The actors.
That's really true.
And we told the actors not to interact with him too.
Please don't talk to David.
Yeah.
Don't
look at him in the eye.
And don't look him in the eye. That's what I'm gonna say. That's the
and if you
thing.
look in the lens, he will kill you.
Yeah. If you spy the lens like Tom did this weekend.
I did. I looked in the.
Tom got so mad at himself. I don't even pay attention to that stuff because I got so much.
You spied in one of David's lenses?
I did it a couple times. It was like
that's like
we were following. I was following,
my goodness.
like leading him back. Yeah.
It was the gimbal shots.
I thought you were a good actor.
I know.
I'm not. I'm a hack. I'd walk, and all of a sudden my eye would twitch, and I would go right there to the lens. Stupid.
Yeah. You're definitely fascinated by the process of making it.
I was like, "What aperture is he? Oh crap!"
Yeah.
That's what I get.
Yep.
This is what I get.
So Ducon, right there in the straight in the middle of that microphone is the sweet spot.
You got to almost eat it like this. Like,
got it.
Just lay your lips on it.
Got to eat it like candy.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
I found the sweet spot.
When it comes on, when you like whatever you do, we're just going to both go.
Yeah. Bravo Creative.
We're so excited to be here.
Found it. Found the sweet spot.
We're hitting it good. Are we getting it good, Tom? Are you digging this?
I'm leaving all this on the podcast.
We need to get David in front of the camera now. He's showing off that he has really good voiceover talent for like
skills.
Slapstick comedy horror.
Maybe that.
Well, you don't
have to actually act.
When David and I did our podcast, I got a couple people that said, Tom, you got a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
Well, then my wife goes, I kind of like David's. I was like, you know what? Shut up, woman.
Yeah, come on, wife.
And then I called him. I was like, what's up with that?
I do remember you telling me that she thought it was.
He does have a very nice voice.
Cornpone, Arkansas boy down there.
I referred to him as Hog Watson. His little Arkansas. What are the Razorbacks?
Razorbacks, yeah.
They call them hogs. Mm-hmm. And I know like 5-6 different David Watsons.
Really?
In my caller ID, I have him listed as Hog Watson.
That's hilarious.
Yes.
I didn't even know that.
So I know which David Watson I'm talking to.
Oh, it's old Hog Watson.
Yeah. What's up,
That's hilarious,
Hog?
dude. That's hilarious.
You are listening to the Bravo Creative Podcast, hosted by Tom Baker. Thank you for listening. Your position has been triangulated. Drone army has been dispatched to your location. Commencing attack run in 3, 2, 1.
Hello and welcome to the Bravo Creative Podcast, and thank you so very much for listening. We've got a great show for you today, and it marks another first. Today we have not one, but two very special guests joining me today in the studio. And we'll get to my guests here in a few seconds, but first I want to beg and I want to plead and I want to humbly ask that if you like what you're hearing here, please, pretty please with a big hug and little baby kisses, subscribe to the Bravo Creative Podcast. That simple little click alone will mean the world to me, and I thank you. The Bravo Creative Podcast is being teleported to you through Podbean, and I absolutely love Podbean. And Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Audible, and the one that I usually forget, YouTube, and we can't ever forget about YouTube. The podcast is also linked directly on the Bravo Creative website at www.bravocreative.net/Bravo Podcast. So you've heard me talk in length about the local film production of Vincent's Vow multiple times on the podcast, and we have had various guests from that production on here. And it's the film set that I officially cut my teeth on when I moved here to the 417. and where I met some very talented and beautiful people. And I truly feel that God gifted me the opportunity to work with these wonderful people and has allowed me the ability to flourish from that very positive interaction that I had on that set. And I'm eternally grateful, and that experience holds a very special place in my heart. So when I saw the opportunity to have the makers of this film on the podcast, I jumped at it. And joining me today, I want to welcome to the microphone the meticulous, the inspiring, the man behind the lens for Vincent's Vow, my good friend David Watson. And last but not ever least, the versatile, the visionary, El Director himself, Ducon Williams. And the reason I assembled you all here is because you just recently held the first official screening of Vincent's Vow, and I wanted to talk to you about that experience. So I'd like to welcome you guys. How are you guys doing?
Great. Very great. Especially after all those accolades you just rained down upon us. Thank you.
I had to wipe away a tear. Sorry, just give me a second. I got to clear my throat.
And you're so good at those intros.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody who hears this, he just does it.
That's amazing.
Yes, that blows me away.
I'm spellbound over here.
I know.
Shut up.
No,
Do you do this for a living, or like you get a card, or?
Yeah, sure. I can write intros for anyone. Yeah, I don't even need to know you. I'll just write something up.
It's just amazing how professional this setting feels.
It's so good,
Guys.
We're thrilled to be here.
I'm glad to have you. And actually, side note, we've been sitting here talking for what? Probably, oh gosh, we've been sitting here for an hour before we even started the podcast. So talking of all kinds of wonderful rumors and rumor mills that are floating around the 417.
Yep.
And we're not going to go any further than that.
We love talking shop.
Talk to me about the premiere. How was that? Go ahead and start from the beginning. You decided, about a month ago? Would you say that was right?
To have the premiere?
To officially go, all right, we're going at it and doing it.
Yes, I would say it was mid-December.
Okay.
When things looked like, okay, it was actually Christmas Day. It was when I went to see Wonder Woman 1984 in theaters and realized, you know what? People are actually going to the theaters now.
And they went to go see Wonder Woman.
Hey. Now, in Wonder Woman's defense, it wasn't bad.
The first 20 minutes were awesome.
Yeah, they were pretty good.
It was great.
There's some good moments.
The last hour and 40 minutes was rough.
We'll dispute that later, but
okay, yeah, that sounds like fun.
But that was the moment for me where I was encouraged to reach out to theaters with the possibility that there would be enough seating to make it worth my time and money to rent a theater to have a premiere.
Right,
and it was a B&B Theaters that I saw the movie in, and I just reached out to a bigger B&B theater, and they said we could seat 50% capacity, and here's what we got, and here's our price. And I did the math on it and was like, okay, if I was able to sell some tickets, at least I could call myself somewhat fiscally responsible.
Sure.
And it's our first opportunity post-COVID or during COVID that we can do this, so we're taking it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did it feel?
I think the word I finally settled on was surreal.
I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I really can't imagine.
I wouldn't have been able to. Without experiencing it, I would not have been able to.
Well, and just it's thankful that you were able to get to do it.
Yeah.
Because there was a point there when you kind of sit there and go, oh, is it ever going to get to happen?
Right. No, there was several points when that discussion came up in my mind that I was real tempted to just not have one.
Yeah.
You know, it just looked like there was never going to be a time that we could have a premiere, and I was ready to we're just going to release it online so people can see it.
Yeah.
But I am so grateful we got to have a premiere.
Yeah.
Seeing everybody again oh my goodness,
That's
that
what
was
I
the
was most
highlight.
excited.
It
Maybe
was
even
like
more than
a family reunion.
Yes, exactly. Yes,
But
big time.
without Tom, which was better.
Slightly.
I'm teasing. No, we did miss you, Tom.
We did.
And
I really wanted to be there, but I had already committed to a show, and I was like,
oh, you were in Jeff City, weren't
I
you?
was in Jeff City doing a show, and I mean, I think in some ways, I'm kind of happy that you all like just had it, and like, you know, you didn't like worry too much about schedules. Is like, hey, and I mean, what was amazing about it is you wound up having a really good turnout off of it. Like, did you sell out?
there were 5 tickets that didn't sell.
There were 5
It was
tickets
very
that
close
didn't
to a sellout, and we had, I think, I added up 18 different people that could not show up because of the weather.
Yeah,
That's right.
Blizzard
Because it
came
snowed
out
that
of
night,
nowhere,
didn't
and
it?
it was dangerous driving.
It was.
So to all the people who braved the weather,
Yes. Going home was a lot easier, but getting there was was kind of
it was sketchy.
Yeah.
It was sketchy, and even the theater contacted me and was like, "Are you guys still going to do this?"
Yeah.
And I at first I was like, "No," and it just came out, "Hell yeah, we are." You know, so
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm glad you didn't. To me, that shows like because I'm
It was
usually
an
scared
obstacle.
About, yes,
Just like anything else we faced on
Right.
set, anything else we faced through the entire
Right.
development and creation of the movie, it was, and that actually entered my mind. It's another obstacle trying to get in the way,
Yep.
and you just push through it.
and to me, it also showed like how excited and proud of the people who worked on the movie were to see it. Because again, I'm not a person who gets really nervous about driving, but I knew that was gonna suck to drive that far. You know, it was like 25 minutes from where I live, and it's like. But all these people came, like people coming from Joplin. I mean, there were, an hour away. Like that told
Deborah
you that people.
Maddock from
Oh yeah, she came from
she
KC,
came all the
didn't
way
she?
from Kansas City.
Kansas City.
Oh, did
yeah.
she
Through all
really?
of that, she did. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that I thought was so. It was just again, I loved getting to see everybody, but how many people actually got to who made the effort and were actually say make the effort, but were willing to get to come out and risk it was so cool to me. I just thought
was
it was cool. Testament to you, and just testament to the way our set was, and just how everybody got along. I mean, all that stuff I think is lifelong friends that we've made from all this. So yeah,
which is precious above all.
it
really.
is. Yeah, for sure.
It is.
The
And
friendships.
it's like I said in the intro. I really do. Like I look back on that. I know maybe a couple people. When I first came on set, and I was only on set maybe 5 days, maybe 5 days out of all of it. And I mean, every single time we were on set, it was a positive experience. Everybody had just a positive attitude about the whole project. And, it's like, yeah, it's going to snow. Who cares?
Yeah.
Exactly.
We've had this many things that we've had to endure up till now. Really, snow's not going to bother us that much.
Exactly.
COVID, what's
It's the
that?
least of them.
It's like, so I was really, really happy for you guys to be able to do that. And talking to you, David, real quick, what did that feel like? I mean, because this was your first feature film, and you finally got to see it up there on the screen. What did that feel like to you?
Yeah, I mean, it surreal kind of, like Ducon said. It was excuse me, it was like there were moments where I would just get lost in it just watching it, but then there were moments when I was like critical of you know what I mean? Like you can't help but be critical of you're like, okay, well that we could have, I mean, especially now, like this was how long, when did we shoot this? It was 2 years ago. So it's like we've come a long way, and I learned oh my gosh, I learned so much making that movie. And so it's like there's the moments I say, I'm like, man, I'd love to go back and shoot that again.
Right.
But I mean, it was
not too late.
Yes, but definitely like seeing shots, so much of that movie, I'm so proud of how it turned out. And I mean, genuinely, I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm happy with it. You know what I mean? And, and so it was like, dude, it was cool. And then to hear like reactions to moments in the film, everything hit like it was supposed to. It got the reaction from people, and it's like, okay, I'm not the actor and I'm not, the editor, but it was just cool to see people react to something you'd made, and you're shooting it, and those beats and those moments in the movie where somebody laughs or it's it's intense or whatever, and all those things landed. That was one thing I noticed immediately. It's like all this stuff is hitting like where it needs to hit. So it was just, I don't know. I was so happy for Ducon and for your wife and like all of you guys. It was so
would
great.
hope that you would enlighten me a little bit, because we were close to the front. I didn't like, you were back in the midst of everybody.
Yeah. There was laughs.
Did anybody cry?
When I got done, when I came down to see you up front, as soon as it was over, I looked back and saw at least 4 people who literally I could see the tears in their eyes, because the end of the movie ends like it hits really well. Like it's, you know what I mean? That moment. And so, I mean, 100%, man. Yes, absolutely. And again, the funny moments and all that stuff, it just hit. It just landed, which is cool. Which is like, I think is what you want, right? You want.
Absolutely.
Right. So anyway,
absolutely. There's a great degree of satisfaction that comes from that.
What was the total timeline from the very beginning of the idea to that night of the screening? What was the total timeline of that?
The very beginning of idea?
Yeah.
Okay. It was 3.5 years.
Okay, so let that sink in, folks. All right. Really, that's where I get a little choked up, is because you look at 3 years of, and I mean this in the nicest possible way, but probably sheer utter hell for a long time, a large portion of it, and of just the slog that you have to go through. And, you know, you look at some of us out here are trying to write a short film that we do in 1 week, go film it in 2 days, and then edit it in another day. And you're like, oh my gosh, it sucks. You know, it's like, no, seriously, like 3 years, and how much money and how much time and how much away from your family and how much, but I mean, there is a benefit from it, you know, and
Sure.
I feel a little selfish in the fact that, a lot of what I'm able to do right now is because of the relationships that I built while I was on that set for 5 days.
Yep.
And that's, now, I mean, granted, part of it I have to have a winning personality to be able to do that, but.
Well, that's
right?
disputable too. You do have a very winning personality, Tom.
See, Mom, told you.
They like me. It's hilarious.
It's really amazing to know that you were getting the emotional cues that you wanted to get out of it. And not only that, I guess the hope is, and the testament to it is if that message of finding love that you were looking for is, if it resonates and if it does what your intent for it was.
Well, I might correct you on the wording there. The message is actually the opposite of finding love. It's about creating it. It kind of suggests that the idea that we find love is kind of rubbish in some ways. That if you're looking for it, you won't find it. There's a quote that says, he who goes and looks for friends will never find them. He who goes to look to be a friend will find them all over the place. It's kind of.
That is true. That is so true.
It is
100%.
I've never quantified it like that, but that
true
does make a
statement.
lot of sense.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the underlying theme.
Right.
Is this guy's constantly looking for love, but until he realizes that it's something that he has to basically accumulate from within and distribute, it doesn't exist in his life.
Yeah.
Once he learns to sacrifice and learns how to give it, that's when it comes back. And that's what the whole ripples analogy is all about. We start with a shot of ripples coming back to his feet. You were there that day.
I was there that day.
Yeah, you was there.
That.
Yeah. So, and that's how we finish it. And
Ducon, that's deep, man.
Yeah. Well,
It is.
there was, and that's part of why it took 3.5 years, because I was 16 months writing and refining the script. And it took a lot of research. And honestly,
Now, don't gloss over that yet.
okay.
Okay. Don't gloss over that, because you said 16 months. All right. That's 1 year and 4 months.
Yeah.
Working on a script.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of time working on a script. How many pages was it?
It started out as 115, and I think, no, that's a lie. It started out as 127, and I got it down to 108, 105. I can't remember. By the time I finally said, okay, we've got a shooting script. A script lock, I guess is what they call it.
And how many times did you go back over that script?
12.
12 times.
12 rewrites. I mean, there's little things here and there, but
Sure.
12 full on, let's go back to the beginning and analyze everything carefully and go back through. But there was many times where I'm working, shooting nail gun on the job one day, and I'm thinking about this scene and try to keep it in my head long enough for me to get back to the computer and just change one little part. So but then there was hundreds of those.
Do you think you forgot anything? Like, you know, when you write a script and you get home and you're like, oh, that was a great idea. What was it? And then you sit down and you write it up and you're like, like the other night, me and David were over working on a project, and I got home and I had an idea in my head. And so all on the way from Springfield to Rogersville, which is like a 20-minute drive, I'm sitting here and I'm going through the entire movie in my head. I just created it, and I was just sitting there going through this whole movie in my head, and I was like, oh, that's a cool opening shot. David can film that. That'll look really good, blah, 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 blah. And I was going through all this stuff, and I got home and I walked in the bedroom, and my wife is laying there in bed, and she was waiting for me, and she's like, she starts getting ready to talk. I said, shh, wait, I got to write this stuff down. And so I went down and just kind of like tried to jot it down as fast as I could, because I knew in the morning
You'd forget.
I would forget all of it.
And I'm glad you asked that, because yes, there were some things that I'm still wondering what was that.
Can I correct that story a little bit? Because when we were on set this weekend, I believe that some of the ideas came to you while you were in the restroom.
You know, that's where some of the best ones.
I think you said you were either in the restroom or you were outside or something, and you were like, you had already started piecing it together. And I guess it sounds like it just flowed when you were on the way home.
It literally flowed when I was in the bathroom.
Anyway, sorry. Listen, people, this is how it happens.
We're still talking about
Keep
ideas,
your
right?
phone.
Okay, just
something like that. Yeah, it's whatever.
Okay.
No, it was. I came back in and I was
sorry.
like, oh, I was in the bathroom. And I got an idea. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
So always have a scrap piece of paper with you, or toilet paper. Just have a pen with you.
At least a pen. Yeah.
Put it on your phone.
Yeah.
There you go.
A voice message to yourself.
It is smart. It's a very, very good habit to get into, especially if you're into script writing at all.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Such a good idea to always have something that you can write it down real quick.
Like, and I'm not a writer. Like, I don't claim, like, I've written a couple of little, and the pictures that we did, but even that one, like, there'd be times where, like, I'd have this thing, I couldn't figure out what to do. And then, like, the most random time it would just come. It would, like, once you weren't thinking about it, then it would show up, and you were like, oh, well, that's it. That's how we fix it. And it's kind of like, I was like, I got to write this down real quick.
It's kind of amazing the troubleshooting that you can do, on a script. Like, eventually your mind will, hopefully fix it. Like, you'll sit there and crank over it and over it and over it a couple times, and all of a sudden it goes, oh, well, yeah, that's easy. I could just do that.
Yep. 100%.
Yeah.
And honestly, even on this film, I'd say there was 20 plus times where that happened to me.
That's awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Like in the edit when you were doing it?
In the script writing, in the edit, like, with the edit, you get editing and you find out your movie's 2.5 hours long, and that's not going to work. And you're like, how can I tell this story in less time and still have it be impactful? And you mull over it and mull over it and mull over it, and you hit a whole bunch of dead ends. But then one day you're just not expecting it, and all of a sudden the perfect idea comes up. A short little montage that sums up 10 scenes just like that,
right?
And no information is missing.
I'm curious.
That's awesome.
I'm curious about. You've obviously watched this cut that you released at the premiere quite a few times.
Yeah.
And last time I talked with you, you were pretty well tired of watching it.
Yeah.
Did that change any by seeing it up on the screen and having an audience around?
It did. It changed quite significantly, because it was so satisfying that I was sharing it with someone now. Yeah. It wasn't just me. We actually got to, as a team, review it and I guess be proud of it, and to a certain extent, because
sure.
I mean, and that's, I sat on basically the front row of the seats that were being used, so I didn't like watch people's reactions, but I remember thinking, boy, I hope Mary Jo's satisfied with her costuming choice right here, because I really liked it. Or, boy, I hope Jacob Brower gets to see how well he did with his fluent Spanish, being a white boy. Stuff like that just kept rolling through my mind. And then when we started having sound issues, I thought to myself, boy, I hope Kong takes note. No, I'm teasing. I'm teasing. I figure if Kong ever listens to this, we did have a little bit of equipment problem
in the theater
that I had to fight.
The urge to want to
to fix it. But basically, I guess one of their audio cables, because of the subwoofer toward the end, we had some really powerful sound design on that sound system for the climax of the film. And that's vibration.
When the Star Destroyer's going over at the end.
That's exactly what it is, yes.
Yeah. The what?
The Death Star gets blown up.
Oh, yeah. I mean, wow, what great visual effects. Incredible. But it ended up visiting.
Vincent vows to destroy the Empire.
Yes.
Now you know the whole plot.
The Empire won't strike back because they have unconditional love.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was one thing, a hiccup where it wiggled the audio cable loose. And basically, right at the climax, the sum up of the film, then it made to where you couldn't hear it very well. I don't know what it sounded like in the back.
It didn't sound bad. It was definitely, you could hear something, but I didn't think that it ruined it or anything
up
like
toward
that.
the front, it ended up sounding pretty bad. And Kong and I were both sitting on the same row, and I started feeling bad, like Kong probably thinks it's his mix. And so I stood up right in the middle of this thing, went over and sat down by Kong, and I says, I just want you to know it's their equipment.
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I know.
Yeah. He probably, yeah.
I figured, I know I did a good job with the mix.
I don't mess up.
Yeah.
I don't mess up.
But after, never mind. We'll move on from that.
But watching it back there was definitely, it was right in the last 5 minutes or something. I don't even know if it was that, but like a couple little, it wasn't the whole time. It was just like when it would hit hard, it would but it would distort, but it wasn't like it was every line that was said during that time. It was just when it would hit really hard.
That was when the cable had loosened that it actually started to distort. Yeah. But it was very nice for me being the editor, because on the system that I edited on, the sound, you couldn't hear Vincent's voice, my voice, very well, because I have such a deep voice. Everybody else's you could hear with a lot more clarity, and sometimes I couldn't tell if the music was too loud or if the sound effects were too loud in relation to my voice. But when we went into the theater, because of that subwoofer, it sounded amazing.
Right.
So as an editor, I was like, yes, this actually works, because I was afraid that Vincent's voice, being the A character, couldn't be heard on some of these poignant lines. And from
Christopher
where I
Nolan
was
doesn't give a hoot anymore.
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't care.
He definitely doesn't.
Well, before we get down too far down the road, I do want to talk about, because if you didn't get to see it the first time, there's another screening that's coming up on February 12th.
Yes.
At the same place, right? Mm-hmm. It's the B&B Theatres in Ozark.
Yes.
It's Ozark Nixa 12, right?
Yes.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
And it's the screening is February 12th, 2021, year of our Lord, at 7 p.m.
Yes.
And it's got, is that when the film rolls? Is it 7 p.m.? Or
I'm going to just see how many people are in their seats at that moment, because there's no ad that plays at the first.
Right.
It goes right into the film. I mean, of course, you got short.
We want you to intro it too. So like you did,
talk about it.
Yeah. I think that's good.
Does we mean you're coming for another?
I said I'll be there. I'm just saying we as in the audience want to see you.
So you will be there.
Could we get?
That would be great.
Could we get some trailers to play before it?
Ooh, yeah. I got a trailer. I'll let you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's got a trailer.
A couple actually.
Absolutely. I haven't thought of that, but yeah, if there's,
I actually wondered about that on the first one. I thought, I wonder if he'd thought about playing trailers for just local.
If anybody out there has a project that they're working on, if you want to get in touch with Ducon,
we'll have a sold out crowd.
We'll have 15 minutes of trailers before, which is about what
that's what they do anyways, right?
Sure.
That's exactly right.
That would be kind of cool, though.
Yeah, and I'm totally open to that. Now, if I get 15 trailers or something like that, that's going to cut into our movie time.
We could play it at the end.
I'm going to have
we
to be
could play it at
picky.
the end, couldn't we? Some of them.
Depending, I've got the time slot for 3 hours, and we've got a 2-hour movie. So I mean, we could use up the time if we had some time left. Absolutely, I don't see why we couldn't. They never told me I couldn't. So.
Well, we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see.
I mean, I want to see them. I want to see these
No,
trailers.
I think it'd be kind of fun.
That would be nice. And yes, February 12th, it's the perfect Valentine Day.
It is. I would think that
it
would be
will
really
enrich
good.
your relationship.
Yep.
A lot.
That's
If
awesome.
you come and watch this movie, it'll give you some insights on relationships that isn't really talked about much.
That's cool. That's gonna be awesome, man.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how much does it cost?
$12.
$12 a person. They have popcorn there.
They do.
Full concessions
Sweet.
open.
Yeah. They've got
I'm totally there.
Yeah.
awesome.
I'm totally
Nice.
And then
I'll bring Crosby with me, and he'll
There you
get
go.
him some popcorn.
Perfect.
As
long as he doesn't say, "Dad, that's Ducon." No, he can
I'm
say
trying to
that.
talk
That's
my-
totally cool.
Yeah,
I would love that.
He will yell.
Can I
at-
sit by him? He's
Yeah,
my
it's fine.
pal.
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
He's awesome.
Awesome.
I'm trying to get my parents to come. They got their COVID vaccine, so I'm hoping that far out that they'll be able to come.
What about Charlie?
And Charlie too. Anybody that
That'd be
wants
cool.
to come. But anyway.
So this one now, at the original premiere that you all had, it was kind of just cast and crew that were able to come to that. Is there any kind of stipulations with this one at this point?
No, there's not. That one wasn't just cast or crew. I gave the cast and crew.
After you sold the initial ones?
Yeah, I gave them like a 10-day period. Hey, reserve tickets if we still have seats by that time, and not everybody in the cast and crew wants to come. I'll just open it to the public at that point. And
it was like
but
significant
it was,
others and
yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
spouses and
I would
kids.
say that we were still 60% cast and crew in that crowd.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you had how many just average Joes walking off the street came in to watch it?
I mean, I don't know how average Joe they are in the sense that I don't know what relation they might have had to cast and crew, but there were some people I didn't recognize.
Really?
Yeah, I still don't know who they are.
There were some people there
in.
I didn't know. I just assumed they were somebody's.
They might have been friends of an actor or family or something like that. And I got to meet a few of them and found out that some of them were just family members of like Adam Ashlock. He played one of our cartel thugs, and he had some family that
cool.
came. And
Yeah, I was glad to see it. It was cool to see faces that weren't cast and crew because it was like, oh yeah,
and that's what
is
I'm
so
looking
cool.
forward to
Yeah.
with this next one, which I love the cast and crew, but it's just I just want to see other people too, and just want the satisfaction knowing that Vincent's vow is being shared with people I've never met.
Yeah. No, that's great. And I think one of the really cool parts about it, and I'll vouch for this portion of it, is that let me just tell you that, and I truly believe this, working with these guys, like I said, just for 5 days, if you want to come and see the product of that and get to hang out with them and get to network just in general, it costs you $12 and you get to see a Dynamite film, and the people that are making it, they're not living in Hollywood. They're living right next door to you, and they're in the town that you live in. And this is a perfect example or a perfect opportunity to get out and find out more about this process. And I think it's a great opportunity, super duper great opportunity.
That's cool. I agree.
And the incomparable Tom Baker plans to be there. So
I'll be walking around with a microphone.
This magical voice that you've been hearing, you get to put a face to him.
You can tell him how much you've enjoyed his podcast.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hey,
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. It's definitely awesome. And he'll bring his beautiful wife, who's been on his podcast, and
Yeah.
you guys can.
I might bring the kids too.
Ooh, yeah,
That'd be
They might have a hoot with that.
You've got a son that's interested in filmmaking, isn't
He
he?
is.
So you can be like, dude, this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I should mention that was one of my highlights. Actually, at the premiere, there was a Jennifer Pudell had brought some friends to the screening, and one of them was a 12-year-old boy named Scott, who is just getting into filmmaking. And it was such an honor to meet this young man who's like beginning his journey.
Oh, that's cool.
And just, I guess to have partially been an influence because he enjoyed the film.
Right.
And that was satisfying because I hadn't thought of that.
It was
I hadn't thought about young
having
filmmakers.
those positive experiences early on like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We look back on how we kind of got into what we do and what we love, and it's about those. Now, Ducon got into it because he was chasing a girl, but
Apparently, I remember. I heard that story.
I think I got into it for chasing a girl too, but Ducon's was better. He decided to make a feature-length film. I just decided to.
Hey, it didn't work, so I mean, I didn't get the girl. So, but make films, definitely make films.
Yes, make movies
Got
for whatever
better.
reason,
Whatever, it's fun.
whatever your motivation may be.
So I want to talk real quick about a couple of things because I'm interested after watching the film. And Ducon, I'll ask you first. After watching the film, is there anything that you learned that you didn't know before?
Can you go into the question a little further? I'm not sure I understand it.
Well, I think it's kind of meant to be vague a little bit.
Yes, an infinite amount of things that I didn't know before. Did I learn some things during the film? Absolutely.
No, like of the screening.
I still don't know what the question.
Well,
what question
so
you're asking.
I guess here's how I look at it. The screening was the ultimate culmination of everything that you worked on for 3.5 years.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
There's probably questions to answers that you thought you knew.
Okay.
But were there questions to answers that you didn't know, and then all of a sudden they were answered by going to the screening? Because that's kind of like the cherry on top for this, in a way. At least I've envisioned it that way.
You know me as a different cat. Honestly, my mind's too busy to think of that kind of stuff. Now that you ask it, I'll probably start to recognize some things, but nothing while I was there or on the drive home really stands out to me outside of how grateful I am for the bonds and friendships that were created during the making of this film. And that the film, though I'm 100% satisfied with it, nothing compares to that. Nothing compares to the friendships we made. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, you know, when I look at the name David Watson, I don't think director of photography first. I think very good friend first. And if we by chance decide to make a film, I want him on it.
Right.
So sweet.
Well, and you know, it's funny you say that because David and I worked this weekend together, and I was really impressed with David.
Still?
Yeah,
That's amazing.
Still, I realized that I don't, and this is kind of sad, but I realized that I'm not as jazzed about being a cinematographer as I am I like B-roll. I love shooting secondary stuff, but that B-roll, or that being the cinematographer, there's better people for it than I am. It's not in my. David is really good at what he does, and he is meticulous. I think I said that in there. He's very meticulous, and that was cool to watch, and that's what's been kind of neat to watch. It's like the things you don't know that you don't know.
Sure, yeah.
And I think every experience that we have the opportunity to be on, like, you know, this weekend we worked on a project for Jennifer Botel, and I got to act, you know.
Awesome.
And David got to film. And so that kind of stuff, there's always learning lessons, I think. And there's things to garner from it and grow from. And that was one of the things that I realized I love doing, you know, sitting around shooting B-roll of, you know, hands and feet and people running around. I'd much rather be a director. I'd much rather be a actor because
That's interesting.
It's fun. And while David looked like he was having fun this weekend,
I was having a blast. I really did have fun.
but I did realize there's certain times, like, because I'd be kidding around, and David just kind of look at me with this stone cold look, and he'd just
Whatever,
kind of
dude.
walk on. And I was like,
No, I did
he
not.
totally did.
No,
He was just like,
I believe it.
yeah, and he was like, off.
It's because I was probably thinking about 1,000 things.
I know. He was
Yeah.
off to the races, and I sat there and thought, yeah, thank God he's got that and I don't, because that drives me nuts, you know?
Right.
So it was funny because this weekend was like, it was Mike was there, Mike Strain,
Sure.
and Brad helped us.
Awesome.
And Tom and Tyler was there, and several people that had been on Vincent's Vow. We literally at lunch, we had lunch on, I think it was Sunday. We were talking about, we were actually talking about your Western that maybe you've thrown out the idea of film of wanting to make that, and we were talking about how we were literally said we want it to be a Vincent's Vow crew. Like we just all love work.
Awesome.
And this weekend was like that. It was like, especially working with Brad.
Sure.
Because it's like
It pretty much was
he
a
just
Vincent's
takes
Vow
everything
crew
out of my
without Ducon.
pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like
so a step up. That's good.
whatever. No, and Madison was there, and he directed, and it just
Awesome.
all those guys, like
Awesome.
because we just click. We
Yeah.
just click. There's never like an awkward moment, or as far as like not sure what to do or what. We just
Yeah.
get it, and
it makes a lot of difference.
It does, and that's how Vincent's Vow was the same way. And it was like,
Yeah.
as a DP, as a cinematographer, like up until Vincent's Vow, like everything I had shot, I did everything, lights, I mean everything. And then like Vincent's Vow was the weirdest thing. I still to this day, like I ask you, okay, what are we looking for in the shot? Like, what are you? And then it's like, Brad and I are there, and I'm like, let's do this. And then Brad's like, and then they just go to work.
Yeah.
Brad and Mike. And then I'm
That's
like, okay,
nice.
I'm tweaking. I'm telling them to do this or that. It was the weirdest thing to just stand there and not
And look at the image.
Yes. Oh my
right?
gosh. And
yeah.
it's
and to say I want more of this, and it happens.
and it happens. Oh
See,
my gosh. It's like
it's
being a kid in a candy
in
store.
this life, it will be your closest chance to feel like God.
It really.
It was funny. There was a couple instances.
It's
And
fun.
of course, I'm just kind of standing there being an observer, which that was the fun part.
I could feel his eyes on me the whole
So
time.
I'm sitting there, and David would go, okay, we need some more smoke, and so they would run some more smoke, and then Brad would go, hey David, how's this light look? And David would go, looks fine. Brad would go, are you sure? And David would go, yeah, it looks fine. And Brad would go,
Brad's a perfectionist.
Brad would go,
Yeah.
Brad's up here. He's standing up here, and he's by the light, and he go, are you sure? You sure that's what you want?
Not like he was questioning it. It's just like, because Brad's one of those, we're working with Brad because he's amazing.
He is.
He has so much
Oh my
knowledge,
goodness,
and he's
yes.
such a perfectionist. But it's at the same time, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, it's good, but we can't keep messing with it. You know what I mean? Like, and I've talked to
Right.
Brad so many times, and he knows. I love his perfectionism because he will catch things that you don't see because things are so busy. So it's so good to have that. But it's sometimes in my mind, I'm literally thinking, yeah, like maybe we could do something else, spend 30 minutes and make it slightly better, but we got to get rolling. Like Madison's back there, like, we got to get rolling. And I'm like, okay,
Right.
cool. Yeah, let's do
Right.
it. You get it as perfect as you can get it. And then at some point you got to start recording.
It's kind of like when you were talking about Kong being very critical, possibly.
Yes.
actually.
And so,
All
so sometimes
around the set of
Brad
Vincent's Vow. I'm working
That's
on
hilarious.
a parody song of the Sound of Silence
Sound of
that's
Silence.
called "The Smell of Judgment," and we're gonna throw together a dynamite behind the scenes featurette
please do it.
about Kong just
Yes.
staring everybody down,
Yep.
holding his boom mic with just the most judgmental expression on his
Yes.
face.
Yes.
yeah, that'd be fun.
But yeah, it's,
There will not be a Bobby Kong cameo either.
right.
It's
Right.
straight Kong.
I think he got a couple ideas for his next Bobby Kong,
He did.
which I can't
Did
wait.
he? Oh
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
goodness.
He sent me
I'm
something the
excited.
other day. Actually, he had an idea for something, so I helped him shoot the last couple, I think. So
Awesome.
Well,
Yeah,
and the
so I
cool
let
thing
him-
is the Godzilla versus Kong trailer came out too this weekend.
Right,
Boom.
right. We all know who wins that one. Godzilla don't stand a chance.
Kong's gonna win.
Team
Kong's
Godzilla.
Really?
No, are you
Really?
serious?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know, dude.
Day one.
I liked the Godzilla movie better than I liked the Kong movie. Is that
Even that
what
the,
is it
like,
called? What would they call it?
Kong
Skull Island. I didn't like it.
Skull
I loved God. I absolutely adored Godzilla. The movie. Absolutely adored it. I think it's amazing. I think it's underrated. I think people are like, we didn't see Godzilla. Yeah, that was on purpose. It was like you're an observer, and you don't just get, an observer doesn't stand there and stare. They turn away and run. And that's what the camera did. Go back and watch it and see if the camera doesn't act like what you would.
Right.
Anyways,
So
I thought it was so smart. And so well done.
From the perspective of the DP, David loved it.
Right.
Yeah. He adored it. Which means that if we got Christopher Nolan working on our thing and actually had a real Godzilla show up, you would turn and run, wouldn't you?
Big time.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Let's do that.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Has to be real, really real.
Hey, you got to practice that steady
Oh
cam.
my
man.
gosh, dude. All right, I'll work on it.
No, I'm teasing. Do we have a little time to talk about what I call the Brad David dynamic?
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that was actually.
We're only at 45 minutes.
Are we
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
So
We're doing so good.
Wow.
Yeah.
We've still got another
We haven't chased it.
3.5.
I haven't even got into nerdy
And you're
Yeah,
getting
gear
used
talk.
to having, Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to say that one of my favorite things that I witnessed during the shooting of Vincent's Vow, and I hope it doesn't embarrass anybody because it's actually kind of cool. I call it the Brad David dynamic, and when our first 4 days of shooting, we're getting used to working together as a crew, and we're finding out how long a shot takes, because we didn't have any idea how long a shot would take. So day one, I show up with this shot list, and we missed 15 shots because we ran out of time, and so I had to start adjusting my shot lists to not be, so I had to start rethinking how I'm going to tell this story, how I'm going to communicate with the audience. Well, the first 4 days of shooting, I was trying to make sure that we weren't going to go over budget. We were not going to keep people too long. And so I would communicate with Madison, hey, let's keep things rolling. I'd go over to David and say, hey, if it looks good to you, we're just going to go for it. If it doesn't look great, we're still going to have to just push through. We don't have a big budget to perfect it. But Brad, he is so good, and he would notice the tiniest little shadow that was distracting, and we wouldn't see it. And as an editor, I got back to the editing bay, and take one, a light was over here, and take two, that same light had moved like a foot and a half to the left, changed the shadows and different things. And it was Brad, like, I gotta fix this. Something's not quite right.
Right.
And so as an editor, I ended up having to only use stuff from take 4, so the continuity would stay the same.
Wow.
But what had happened, and this was really cool, is Brad comes to me after day 4, comes up to me and he says, I wonder if I'm annoying David.
That sounds like
and I'm like, why do you feel that way? And he's like, well, I do want it to look good, and I think that David does good, something to this extent. I'm paraphrasing what he said, but I wonder if I'm just a little too anal or something. That's not the word he used, but something to that extent.
Yeah.
And anyway, we had a nice chat, and it was really nice because Brad was donating his time and his gear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He was so passionate, so kind.
Yep.
He was probably our most consistent crew member showing up, and I didn't have him budgeted.
And he's smart as a whip.
Oh,
He's smart as a whip, but it was neat to see.
He and I were sitting and talking cinema, all like classic Western
Yeah, you
cinema.
guys were going deep.
We were going
really stuff.
super deep. And then
Specific
we were going,
episodes of like old black and white TV shows deep.
Wow.
We were talking about Kurosawa
Yeah.
and the influences on the early Western. I mean, we were going in like
No
deep
kidding.
dive. Oh, yeah. And so then that's when I know that whenever David Watson glosses over and walks away on that kind of stuff, I have won the samurai match.
Yeah, Brad's definitely more.
I can talk
even more.
deep film too.
Yeah, he's a big time cinephile, and
That's awesome.
He's good. Yeah, he's really good.
He's an amazing guy.
but he
Absolutely,
really is.
amazing
He's
guy.
so good.
It
And
was
it was so fun. Where there were obviously, I mean, I will fully admit there were times when I would get frustrated, and I'm sure he probably got annoyed with me, but never.
Oh yeah, but
he,
the transition is what I was
Right.
talking about. It was
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah.
To see them segue from just getting used to each other and learning how each other works.
Right.
And by the end of that, it was like they knew what each other was looking for. Right. They loved each other. It was awesome to see them work together.
It was, and I felt like even this weekend, because we shot like 14 hours. We were there for about 14 hours Saturday, and then Sunday was about 10 or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
But it was like this time especially, we were just hitting on all cylinders, and it was like,
nice.
Yeah, it was super smooth. And we had a couple little but and that's the thing with Brad is, when I say annoyed or just like, because again, I'm thinking you're sitting there whispering in my ear constantly, we got to go, hey, we got to go. And it's like, so it's nothing Brad ever said or wanted to do was wrong.
It was because Ducon was being pushy.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, that's not, you know what I mean? I know, I knew how important it was. We've got all these shots, and we have to get through them. And so it was like, again, it was not because Brad didn't know what he was doing or because what he was asking for was dumb. It was just, we simply just didn't have the time to tweak something that was really, really small and wasn't big enough in that moment because we did need to shoot. I would have loved to have spent 2 hours or 3 hours before every setup. Oh my gosh, are you kidding me with Brad? It would have been heaven on earth.
It would have been top notch.
Yeah, but it was like
the question that just popped up is how many pages were you all shooting a day? How did you all break that down when you were filming? Were you?
I was going for 5 a day.
5 a day.
That was what I was trying to hit.
That's a full day too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And really, I mean, we achieved that on average.
I want to say
we
did. Yeah.
I mean, there's some technical issues. There were some things that I flat out cut out of the film because not enough time was allowed to get it right, technically speaking.
Right. And you just had one person shooting, right?
Mm-hmm, just me.
Most of the time.
We did have Dylan was helping do something.
You had you were flying some stuff with the Sony, right?
Yeah, Dylan did he has a Movi, so anything we flew with the Sony.
So was he double filming some of those scenes?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
There was a couple of things for sure.
There was,
and he did a great job. I mean
he did.
Yeah, he's got such an eye for that, especially for flying that Movi.
Yeah, he was very, very smooth. Yes. He knew exactly how it would react and everything.
Yeah, he was great. So.
And it was neat because he knew that in some cases, the camera he'd have to turn the camera upside down.
Yep.
For the shot to get it to glide right and move right, and then when I would go turn it around in the edit, it's like, wow, this was such a brilliant idea. Mm-hmm. I think you ended up running that thing upside down a few times too.
I have. So I did it on.
It wasn't intended to be an upside down shot, but by doing that, it allowed for a smoother fill, and so our camera guy could actually see on that little LCD screen what was being captured.
Yeah. Because that's one of the things too. It's like we didn't have all the fancy pterodactyl like sending signals out to. I mean, we were like,
we
didn't have
we
didn't have a wireless follow focus.
There's two pieces of kit that you had this weekend that if you would have had it in Vincent's valve,
would have been life changing,
game changer.
Probably, and
just the wireless follow focus.
What was the cost of that?
The wireless $230.
So $230 for that. And it probably would have saved you a ton of time just for that one piece of gear.
It would have.
And it kind of goes back to gear. If you know the right piece to have, it can save you
a ton of time.
And it'll save you a ton of money on set too. Because
just like this weekend having that Pterodec, we used Dylan's Pterodec, and so it was like we had some shots. We did like 4 jib shots.
Really?
It was fun with Mike and Madison's jib, and we were able to attach that Pterodec so we could, even though it's 10 feet in the air, we could still see what the camera, I could watch because Tyler was on the back end and I was on the front, literally holding on to the gimbal and the camera and then moving the jib. And so, but I could look and see on the monitor.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
A Pterodec is a wireless HDMI transmitter that goes from your camera to a external monitor.
Wow.
So you're not like tied down by wires. Yep. And a lot of people will use those as a pull focus so that you can actually have a wireless follow focus.
What Thomas did on those jib shots. Thomas stood over and ran focus.
So they're able to run focus, and David was able to run the camera. And so it's perfect. It's kind of perfect.
That's awesome.
It was nice.
That's
but yeah,
awesome.
that would have been life changing. Just to follow focus on Vincent's.
Well,
yeah.
you know what? No joke. If you're looking at like a Western or anything like that, you know, it's a lot of those close-in shots. It's a lot of that, you know, and it's all about being able to pull that micro focus on there.
Yep.
Yes.
Big
You
time.
look at
Oh my
just
goodness, yes.
those. Well, I guess it's 3 pieces. Well, it's the wireless HDMI and the wireless follow focus are have-tos.
Big
Yes.
time.
Have-to-haves.
Absolutely.
And we had follow focus. It was just on the camera on the red, but anytime we flew it, we didn't have a wireless. We didn't have a way to wirelessly do it, and so on Vincent's foul, and that was huge. I know you in editing, I'm sure you and I have even talked about it. Like there were shots that you probably wanted to use that you maybe couldn't because the focus was soft.
Yes.
You know what I mean? I know
Yes.
that was a frustration, especially on the
Well,
flying
yeah,
stuff.
there-
And that's
there
not
were several
anybody's
things.
fault. Not like somebody screwed up. It just
happened.
It was just a
every
limitation of what,
day.
a limitation of what we had.
Well, yeah,
so.
that's what happens when you have a small Sony DSLR camera and you've got a 3.5-inch LCD screen and you turn on your focus peaking and you're
Yeah.
doing tracking shots.
And
the
focus peaking
peaking
is
will
not
give
perfect.
the illusion,
And it's
right?
not.
Yeah.
It gives you the illusion that you are in focus, but once we get to the editing bay and get it on a bigger screen, we weren't completely in focus.
Well, and if you're shooting in 4K, you have no wiggle room on
Yeah.
focus.
No.
No.
And that's what we
Yeah.
were shooting
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
So- But there's a lot of stuff too that was, especially on the red when it was locked down, or even on like on a dolly. Like
right.
there's some where we nailed it and it looked so good.
Absolutely.
And
You know
I loved
something?
it,
I was
so.
thinking the other day because I was talking. I had Tim Michalak that does the FPV drone stuff. He came in and did a podcast.
Stuff he does is
Nice.
insane.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome.
But I was sitting there thinking, you know, what would be really cool on a film set is if you had the external monitor that's just a Teradek, whatever. But if you could get one of those FPV goggles and you could pull focus with that, think how close it would be. You'd have, and you would be able to just sit there and pull focus with that.
Dude.
Mm-hmm.
Tyler's got those goggles with his
Oh, he does.
He does.
You all
yes.
ought to try that and see what it does.
I wonder if you could
that
do
would
that.
actually be cool.
Because you could
just-
probably piggyback off of that Teradek, couldn't you?
I don't know. It's
Like
something
there's
I'm
an
looking
out.
into.
There might be an out off that Teradek. Like there's an
Yeah.
out, and then the monitor has another out of it, right?
Well,
So you could just stand over there and pull focus off to the side.
Yeah, it's right because it does.
and
it
if
just-
we can get the stuff, I say we do it because we're gonna try to do a couple shorts, which you're welcome to join us as far as I'm concerned. A couple little shorts just for the purpose of practicing for the Western.
Oh heck, that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We want to get more familiar with more gear and just get stuff right. And because I don't want to get on that set and not know what we're doing with a piece of gear. Going to practice with the Steadicam a little bit more. And
David Watson. We didn't even talk about this, but he just won like best cinematographer.
He did. Congratulations, Mr. David Watson.
Thank you. I
That's
appreciate
awesome.
It was awesome. It's like, of course, when I watch the movie, I'm very critical, and I think I don't know what these idiots were thinking giving it to me. But it's like,
and they're Brits.
Yeah.
That
was a
would
British
probably,
film festival.
look at some shots and say, "Oh, those bligers are a bunch of rubbish," But
That's a pretty good British.
That's really
accent.
good.
Thank you.
Con.
Thank you.
But I was definitely like, I kid, but it was. It's like, so it's like humbling, and it just makes me want to work harder.
Right.
You know what
which
I mean?
is
Like,
awesome, which is how you should handle
yes.
those.
My first thought is
accolades.
like, now I have to be better.
Sure.
Yeah. So
Talk about because there were some other people that won some awards
there was
too.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. We submitted for 12 categories and took home 10 wins.
What?
Yeah.
yeah,
Seriously?
Yeah, it was nice.
it was awesome.
Really nice.
Did the pawn store owner? Did he win an award?
You know what? If he did, if he did, it would be
Amazing.
most convincing
Yes.
jerk.
Yep. What a
Like you got that pawn owner
Yeah, you did.
vibe perfectly. Here's the sad thing. I have to make a confession to you, Tom.
I know what it is. Don't even tell me.
Okay.
He asked. I think I may have already spilled the beans.
Oh, okay. Well,
That he's in it, but
you
just
have
not
a
as much as-
dynamite scene
Yeah, you do.
in the director's cut.
Yeah. You do.
Are you serious? No, I knew.
Yeah.
Did you?
No, that's all right.
Okay.
No, that's totally
Okay.
fine.
It's not because of the acting, just so you know. The acting was dynamite.
Whatever.
It was
really
I couldn't
good.
find a place to put it that kept driving the story.
Yeah, and what's funny too is that I think I
so my
sent you a
edit-
screenshot
Yeah, you
of
did.
when I colored it, and I just remember thinking how good it looked. So
Yeah.
I was a little sad that we didn't get to
No,
like your
it's-
beanie or whatever it was you were wearing. All the colors just
my
it
goodness.
just looked good, and I was like, oh man, dang it.
Oh my goodness! Like honestly, that's one of those things. You know, I say I've seen it a whole bunch of times.
Right.
That's one of those things that always makes me chuckle.
That's
It's
awesome.
every time I come to that and
Such a
say,
jerk.
You want anything else? Yeah. You got any guns? What kind of gun you want, killer?
Killer.
It's
so good.
so good.
Was that ad libbed? Like, or
It
did
was.
You,
It
Well,
was.
that morning,
okay.
Ducon,
I didn't know if it
I think
was.
you called me that morning.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, can you come in and play
Yeah.
Pawn Store? And I was like, yeah, do I have a script? Nah, just,
You're good,
be fine.
Tom.
just
You're
just
good.
work it out. I was like, okay.
That was awesome. It was so perfect.
Killed it, man. It was so good.
Yeah. But that's one of those things too, where it's like you were, just thinking about the process of filmmaking and like what all goes into it. It's like that pawn, the pawn shop seemed like we had it was like 1, 2, 3, 4,
We
4 or
shot
5
5
shots in there.
yeah.
Yes. And I think 2 of them made it in the movie. 3 of them.
In the theatrical.
Well, there was
cut,
like that close up too that you.
Yeah, there
maybe
was
that
3.
6. I don't. Or,
No, actually, 4 of them made it into
oh,
it.
did they? Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
four of those shots made it in. They're very quick.
Yeah, but
you
it's
just
like-
see that he's grabbing some specific items, and
Just the shot of
Tom-
me. Just the shot of me didn't make it in.
Pretty much.
the close up
OTS
didn't.
of you, the
You know,
close-up.
we definitely see
I'm
you
so sorry,
blurred in the
Tom.
background, and
But it works in the film. It's like it just like we see him come in. We know. So then we know he's at a pawn shop.
Right.
He gets the clip, and then we see him pick out the clothes. So it worked. It was perfect. Yeah.
well, and that's typical for Act 2 to get a lot of stuff cut out, and that's my bad because I thought it would play better, but as I was going through and actually had some what do they call those, test audiences look at the film, they just said, you lost us in Act 2. It got boring,
Oh, really?
and so
Oh,
I
really? I didn't know. That's interesting.
well, I mean, yeah, it was just that it started to drag.
Yeah.
It wasn't getting to the good stuff,
Yeah.
And Act 3 brings everybody back really fast. But I realized I need to keep my audience through here, and I went through and was just like, what can I do to keep this thing moving?
Cut out Tom.
And I no, I will
cut him
say,
out.
That's literally the only thing you changed.
You know what?
I
you know
will
what I'm
say
going to do
this.
is I'm going to tell the wife and kids
It was-
that I'm in it. And I'm going to go, no, listen, I'm going to go into the screening and I'm going to be like super excited.
Oh,
I was going,
great.
hey, you guys are going to get to see me. And I'm going to go in there and then I want to watch the kids' faces when they go and they go, hey, did you see me back there? And they're going to go, that was it.
That was it, dude.
That's all you made. I just want to see what their face is.
Just say, "There's my name. There's my name." When the credits start rolling, see, pawn owner, I was in it.
Or I could get up. I could get up in the middle of the film and just like get mad and like stomp off. And
That's
Oh,
it,
yeah.
Ducon.
Dad's mad.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yes.
That's so perfect.
We'll have a lot of strangers in there and be like, man, these guys are crazy.
This guy,
Crazy.
crotchety old pawn
They're so-
store owner came in there.
You just definitely crotchety.
Hey, but the good news is you've gone from, you did so good at being a jerk as the pawn owner that I've been considering you as my main villain for the Western.
Well, there you go.
So-
it was my screen test, right?
Right. Exactly. Consider that your audition, a well done audition.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
Oh, man. That was fun. That was one of those pickup days, too. A lot of those.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was always part of the original script.
I don't know if we've made it clear
Yeah.
in all this jabbering that we've been talking about, but I was in a scene of Vincent's vow. I still am in a scene
Yes.
of Vincent's vow.
You're there.
It's just I have a lot of bokeh on me now.
You do.
I'm bokeh'd out of the film, basically, and that's all right.
You're not. You can tell. We were on that.
Just
we were on
one
like
version.
A 16 or
one
something.
of
So
many
you're
versions.
still pretty in focus. Pretty in focus.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the 24 at that time. 35. I don't know. Anyway, you were in. I remember like there is because you're leaned over, just like messing with something, and
It's just looking at his phone.
yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah,
probably-
my phone.
Probably looking to buy something cheap on Amazon Prime so he can sell it for a
Probably.
really high price. at
Yeah,
his pawn
probably.
shop.
Yeah, exactly. He's on eBay. Like,
So you've been talking about a director's cut. Are you thinking that
Yeah.
that's going to be something that you do have you cut it already that way?
It's cut, but I need to go and mess with sound design and music still.
And
but I have
how much
locked
longer
the
will
cut.
the director's cut be?
That one is, I want to say it was 18 minutes. I'm getting my numbers confused, but I think it's right around 18 minutes longer.
Okay, so it'd be about almost a 2 hour the movie then, right?
Yeah.
Or actually 2.5 hour movie then, right?
2:15, I think is what, or 2:13.
Because it's the one that the premiere was just shy of 2 hours, wasn't it?
Yeah, an hour 57
Mm-hmm.
is the theatrical cut that we have.
Now, the theatrical cut, is that the one that you sent to the International Christian Film Festival?
It's actually not. Now, when I first sent it, it was still the director's cut.
Okay.
And it got the official selection and those 4 wonderful nominations that they gave us. But I had sent it in there saying, hey, I'm actually still working on this.
Mm-hmm.
Is that allowed to send a better cut of it later? And they assured me it was. And so by the time I actually sent them the cut, I'm going to call it the mid-cut. It's not what the cut that it is now. It was probably 6 minutes longer. And I guess they liked it well enough. We won Best Picture at that thing.
That's right.
With this. So that was nice.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome.
Big shock.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Big shock.
The biggest Christian
Film festival in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the one that you won in England, what was the name of that film festival?
Flix Film Festival.
Flix, F-L-I-X?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think it's
CKS.
CKS.
Oh,
Yeah.
CKS.
Yeah.
And you sent the theatrical cut to that one?
I did.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is one thing that because watching it, I colored it too, so it was like there were I obviously I knew that you had even trimmed it down even more, but you were talking about some of the screenings you did for people, the kind of feedback you were getting from screenings was, the second act being long, and I never thought that, like, coloring it, I didn't watch it, I was just going to clip to clip, but this definitely, like, I think I even told you that day, like, it never felt slow at all. Like, it just kept, you were constantly like moving forward, and which was great. There was never like a lull, which I thought was great. For real.
That's awesome. I'm glad for that feedback, because I haven't really been able to visit with people about it.
Yeah,
much.
that was
I just hoped that it was.
Yeah.
Right.
The idea was keep the story moving, and that's why the infamous Tom Baker didn't get his close up.
Tom.
But you can see him.
Give me a second. I'm going to grab those tissues for Tom. I'm joking.
No,
That's
awesome.
Tom's a tough dude.
I'm happy. I'm
how it
happy
goes.
that I'm really overjoyed that you guys were able to have a premiere. I think
Thank you.
I was too.
It would be so stinking horrible to not be able to have a premiere after that.
Right.
I was like, so when he started, like, you kind of created I think you talked to me a little bit, but then you had created that Facebook Messenger group, and you had like a poll you'd put in there and just asking, would you be interested in coming on these days? And because there's always that concern with COVID and all that kind of stuff, even though it's half capacity and that kind of thing. And, it was, I think, almost everybody that was in there was like, they would be interested in going, but it was like, but at that point I'm like, because I'm like you, Tom, and I thought Ducon's going to spend 2 years on this, and I was over the moon. I don't know if I've ever been happy for anybody when it won Best Picture International Film Festival, but I was like the whole thing is like the premiere, like that's like the culmination, like you said earlier, like everything comes to this. Yes, and I was like, he's going to get to do it. Oh my gosh, we're going to take COVID in the back behind the barn and beat the piss out of it. And we're going to show this movie. I thought, this is so great. I was so pumped for it. And I was so happy for him. I was so happy for you, dude. I mean, seriously.
Thank you.
And because I like there were things I got to see sort of behind the scenes, and just I know how hard Ducon worked on it.
Right.
And I know how much he put into it, of like his heart and soul. There's a scene, I'm going to point this out to you, and I are going to watch this at some point. Oh, okay. So the scene where it's right after the wedding and Val gets in the car with you.
Yeah.
And which is such a great scene from both of you guys. And we had to reshoot. We had to shoot. You have that phone call, and we had to shoot your side of that phone call. And so we just did it out in front of
his house.
of my house.
Totally different location.
Totally different location, and it cut together. It looks so well. The only thing that's different that I noticed, actually the color, that wasn't even what it
Really?
was. No,
Wow.
what I noticed was the dark circles under your eyes in that on location.
See, Mike wasn't,
and that
on
was just
set
because
that
you
day.
were. That's just because I'm talking that stuff at the Gambrel Barn, which is a beautiful place, and those guys, they were so amazing letting us shoot there, and but it was like, I know how stressful that sort of like 3 days was, and it was like, even Mike and I were talking about it this weekend. About at one point, like Ducon literally basically got like delirium. He he couldn't figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Like things just because
I was getting schizo.
Yeah, but I didn't notice your eyes in that scene, but the one we shot, when you cuts back to you, and it's what we shot at my house. It's like you look so fresh and it doesn't jump out huge, but anyways, I just know how much you put into that movie, dude.
Well,
I know
there's something that from both of you, because I witnessed it from you this weekend, and I witnessed it from you a couple times while on set. But there was, like to Ducon, the night we were at the house and it rained all night, and it was cold, and you melted your shoes.
I did melt my shoes.
So that night,
that space heater.
I think we got on location for Vincent's Vow. I think we got on location at that spot. It was probably about 10 o'clock, maybe 9 o'clock that morning. It was cold. It was about this time of year, I think, is what it felt like.
Yeah, it was a January day.
And we got there, and we filmed till you guys filmed. I filmed BTS. You guys filmed till, I want to say it was at least 1.
Oh, man, it was probably later than that. I think it was like,
I want to say it was a little later, but I don't
you guys
remember.
filmed all day long.
And into the night, yeah.
Ducon did how many scenes that day? That was a ridiculous, and it was all you. It was every scene was you doing that. And not only did you do that, but you were running back and forth. You were getting props together. You were getting all this little stuff together. You were checking the camera. You were looking at when you talk about, and this is where I don't think you were schizo. I think you just flat out crazy to do to act and direct at the same time. I mean, it was it was a lot. It was a ton on you, like mentally it had to be.
Right.
But just watching the sheer determination in you, and that was something that inspired it's inspired me, because you look at it and go, hey, I can keep going. I'm not going to die yet. Yeah. I can push through this, Cool.
Yep.
And like watching David this weekend, I mean, he did not stop all day. And I'd kind of come up to him. I know it might have seemed a little weird, but I'd come up and I would rub his back for him, because I knew exactly
That's
what.
awesome.
So good.
I
don't accept back rubs, because I'm like one of these people, I get one, then I'm going to want them all the time.
Oh my goodness,
I sit there and just let him do it.
I know.
Perfect,
I kind of have a a good idea of where his back was hurting,
because you've
just
lived
from
it
carrying,
too.
He's lived carrying a gimbal all day, and I was like,
oh my
it's
goodness,
right
wow.
there.
Because you do,
Right,
you've got that
right.
gimbal, like it stabilizes, but your body naturally also tries to stabilize.
Well, and
You're not just going.
Those muscles are stationary.
Oh, big time.
And it's almost like holding the book out in front of you, for a long period of time.
Sure.
And
With like a glass of water that's completely full and you can't spill a drop. So you're just like,
yeah.
it's like,
Wow.
you just, those are good muscles in my back, just engage. And
They're all tensed up.
yeah.
while you're
And I don't
doing
do that every
Yeah.
I don't do that every day.
Maybe if
And
we
so
did.
it's like, I should just get up in the morning and just, for 15 minutes, just walk around my house with that gimbal.
do our
That's a
gimbal
great
routine.
workout.
It probably would be.
Yeah.
Lose some weight.
But you guys,
But anyways.
you guys really, really, really stinking inspired me last year. And it got me to thinking about how much is required of this to be able to do it. But I will say this, and I had a conversation with a friend last night, and it's one of those things where and I don't know how this will sound. I'm just kind of unpackaging it right now.
Sure.
But it really makes you take stock of what's important in your life.
Yeah.
Because this stuff can suck up a lot of your time. And so those projects that we work on, we really got to be they've got to be from the heart, and they've got to have that emotion behind them. Because if it's just some silly project just to go out there and show off who you are instead of like trying to inspire or motivate somebody, we're missing a lot of our life.
Our time is precious, and if we're going to do it, it has to be.
Yeah. Like I spent all weekend working on a project, and I didn't see my kids at all,
right.
you know? And the week before that I was doing a show, and I didn't see my kids at all.
Yeah.
And that really makes you have to put stock in things like, hey, am I doing this just for me? Am I doing this just so I can see myself up on screen? Or am I doing this to inspire someone? Or I'm doing this to bring a little joy to somebody? And what is that cost?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's really kind of got me to thinking about that a lot. And the friend that I was talking to last night, that was one of our big discussions is, do we want to spend more time on those projects and make sure that they're really worth the time that we're putting into them?
Sure.
Do we have all of our distribution and all that kind of stuff taken care of, or are we just filming stuff just to film it?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. Important discussion.
It's
important.
It definitely is. And like, and again, all of our, like the three of us, like, you know, we've got kids and families, and it's like, you know, we have like jobs, and it's like, so our time is precious. And so when we commit to a job and we go, and even like when we're on set, like we're there, we're not wasting our own time. We're not just there to chill and kick back. And if we're there to put our heart and soul in it on everything we do. And not like it makes us jerks on set, but just we're like, if we're going to be there, we're not there just to half-ass it. I mean, to just be blunt. No, we're there to just, we are there, like, we're going to work as hard as we can, like, because not only that, but it's like, especially if you're working with other people that you know are in that same boat, it's like, you're not going to goof and screw them up.
Right.
So yes, you're right. It's like,
well, and you know, it's like,
that stuff is such a big deal, and our time and commitment that we give to things. And
I think it was the deciding factor for me as an actor a long time ago, because, you know, I used to act and used to do shows just because it was fun to hang out and make new friends and stuff like that. And there is a place for that. But I think the thing that I realized the most is that where I got better as an actor was I made myself kind of get myself in that headspace is, by God, make it worth it. You know,
that's good.
Be that good, make it worth it. Make it so that if your kids look at you and they go, where was Dad this weekend? At least he did a damn good job on something, you know?
Yep.
At the very least, make it worth it. Don't go up there and put a bunch of junk up on the screen just to put junk up, just to have a Facebook presence or whatever. I mean, do it for a purpose and have a reason for it.
I mean, because it's like, there's probably somebody at home, you know, that's got to take, you know, you're like your wife, like Ducon's wife. I mean, that's one thing that you go back to Vincent's vow. Like, we come to set, you know, it's like, I live in Rogersville. It's 20 minutes. I get to set. It's 2 hours to get to set. Yeah. And it's like he's got, like, every time I see his wife, I just want to run up and give her a hug, because I know how stressful that stuff was on Ducon, and I know how much he put into it, and it's a big deal. What he did was a big deal. And like, for her, I mean, because they've got little ones, and it's like, I know, you know, I don't know what they're, but you know what I mean? Like, just for him to be able to lean on her, and her to be able to be home and take care of the kids and all that kind of stuff. And then let him commit to something like this. Like, that's when I say, like, when I am over the moon that we won it won the Christian International Film Festival. Like, I am not kidding you. I don't mean it like because Ducon's cool. I mean it because what I said earlier, I know how much he put into it, and that means how much his family put into it, and like that is a huge. You've
seen the cost.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And to get that, and that, I mean, that the whole time it was like that was the film festival that was what we were working towards, was not even the premiere, but to that film festival. I mean, the premiere too.
When I started scripting, it was that film festival.
And so when
I just had an impression.
When you told me, oh my gosh, dude,
that particular one,
I just remember standing there and just like I immediately wanted to call Ducon, which I think I tried to call you, but I don't even know if I got you. You'd put it in the chat, and I think I called you, but I remember calling my parents and just like everybody I could think of. I was like, I just had to tell
awesome.
somebody because I was so happy for you. And
Thank you.
like, I can't even put it into words because again, I saw what you put into it, and it just thrilled my soul that it worked out that way. And not that I ever doubted it, but you know what I mean? Like it was a long process, and
well, I appreciate
I'm proud of
that.
you, man.
I appreciate that.
Sure,
Thank you
yeah.
very much. And thanks for mentioning my wife through all of that, because she's like the true champion.
She
behind it
is,
all.
I'm sure, yes.
She exhibited a lot of patience throughout this process. A lot of patience. I'm not talking just the time that I'm gone, the time when she's trying to have a conversation with me and my mind is on Vincent's vow. She exhibited a ton of patience. She's really a champion.
She absolutely, man.
It's
awesome.
like with my wife, and I can only assume it's the same thing. It's a tolerance of an obsession that someone has.
That's
Yeah,
pretty
it is.
good
You
way
know,
of putting
yeah.
it. Yeah.
And they tolerate your obsession,
Yeah.
but they can only tolerate it so long, and then they're going to bop you on top of the head.
There's moments for
Yeah.
sure.
I got Ducon in trouble at the premiere because I mentioned that, I said, so Duke and I are going to make movies together forever. And she's like, now what now?
He did, and I heard it. I came over there and I'm like, David, shut your mouth.
Now, honey, honey, come on.
Oh my gosh.
No, it's one of those things where you have to have a good understanding with your family, because it takes as much a toll on them as it does you through all your passion and everything. But the one thing my wife did say to me about this is she didn't want me to do Vincent's vow. Like at first she was like, no way, no. I see how much it takes you away. I see how much effort you put forth. No way. And I just invited her to just read the script one day. And when she did, I was just sitting there on the couch, and she came and snuggled up with me, and she says, I think this is an important film. I think you should do it.
That's awesome, dude.
And that was one of the sweetest moments throughout the process right there.
Makes it a little easier than doesn't it?
Yes. It was. There were still hard moments, but
Right.
But she, even during the edit, sometimes would come over and say, I'm really glad you made this film.
Yeah. I love it, dude.
It was.
Every time I see her,
Yeah.
that's what I think. I think about like.
Well, and she made the cake.
She
I
got to
don't
be on
know.
set when we were.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
She made several different things. I mean, I even put her as an art director in the credits, because there were some props that she made, and she came and decorated a few things.
That cake was so cool, and I was so happy that we nailed that shot.
Oh, they
you
had
could
that.
see we didn't have to tell them to do it. They just hugged right in the spot, and it was right in that.
Okay, now describe what's happening here.
Oh, in the
you will see.
you will see.
You will
come on the
see.
12th, February 12th.
Oh yeah,
on the
if you want to
12th.
find out what David and Ducon are talking about, come to the 12th and watch
There's
the
a
film.
wedding cake in the film that's unlike any wedding cake
It's so
you've
cool.
ever seen, and we took full advantage of it as our little minds worked up these ideas.
Tell
of
them what it
these
was made
cool,
out of.
creative shots that we could,
Made out of styrofoam.
styrofoam 2x8s, and
And then your
some
wife came in
fondant.
and she came in and
Really?
decorated it. It looks
Well,
legit.
It looks
Oh my
like a
gosh.
legit wedding cake.
But
Is that
there's
what
a-
she does? Does she make? Is that what she does? She makes wedding cakes.
She's good at it, but she doesn't like do it for a living. She doesn't advertise to do it or whatever. But I was aware she could do it, and so Mike Strain, I showed him the picture of what we were trying to do, and he got some insulation foam board and cut it and put some 2x8s in it and everything, and built the structure of it.
That dude can make anything.
And we
Anything,
brought this
yes,
to
it's
set,
ridiculous.
and my wife put like frosting and fondant and stuff all over it, and then put these nice little ribbons and flowers and different things to it, and it looks legit.
But it's literally
Really?
got like a
Yeah,
hole
we
in the middle
made
of
an
it.
opening in the middle of the cake,
Which
and
sounds
did a
crazy in a
dolly
cake,
shot,
but it looks
pushing
awesome.
on the cake. But there was an opening to where you could see the bride and the groom back there.
And like in the film,
yeah.
like it's her sister
it's
that
her
walks
sister,
that walks
yeah.
her down the aisle, and they hug sort of like as she gives her away, and they hug, and it is in that. I mean,
and he
just by luck,
pulled focus
worked,
just at the
and
right
it nailed
moment.
it. Yes,
It's cool.
and we
I
were
think you'll
using
like
that.
the shot.
We were actually using that the dolly that we used for the gimbal or for the jib.
Yeah, it was
that
a PVC dolly. On
Yeah,
the
it was.
tripod,
That's
yeah.
what we were using. Except we had the red on it, and so I was just sliding it up those rails
What was the thing that you realized after watching the film in a movie theater that maybe what was your lesson learned?
I mean, I can tell you what my lesson learned was, like, shoot it better.
Do you
just like up
you
there
really
being very critical of, like,
so you were really critical of, like,
yeah, I was, like, more critical even than when I was coloring it. Because I shot, I mean, you know, I looked at every shot. And so,
so
there it was like, I was aware
that
there were people. No, because it was like the whole, you're aware that there are people watching it.
Right.
And it's like, oh man, like this thing's just look glaring. And I'm just like, oh no. But I'm sure most people didn't even notice. But like I noticed it. And
I'm going to go in to the movie theater and I'm going to sit there with a notepad.
What is that?
I'm going to sit there with a notepad.
If you do that, I will know
Shot
that
one.
we made a horrible film.
Shot number 2.
I will say this,
that was a bad cut.
having not one,
We're getting put on trial here,
I
David.
know. It's
By
so
a
mean.
man that is very, very good at
I'm done.
observing.
Make noises of me moving the mic. Insert Foley work here.
But I mean, how many people that were in that theater do you think were looking at it the way that you were looking at it?
Maybe 3 or 4, really, that were like that would consistent, like
So,
Ducon maybe, and
I definitely
like Tyler
was
next to me, and I kept whispering to Tyler about things, and he, you know, we were talking about it. And
So you guys were like,
oh yeah, through the whole
feeding
thing.
each other on, like
the whole
egging
thing.
each other on.
Remember this, remember that, or I wish we'd done this, or wish we. But yeah, it's. I mean, ultimately, I mean that's the thing that comes to mind is when I watched it. But really, it was just again getting to see it, the feeling of getting to see it. And it was that family thing because I was so excited to see everybody, like you were talking, like getting to see all the cast and crew that were going to be there. So it was fun. It was like, even though there were people watching it and I was being very judgmental of it, or as far as like, you know, to myself and being nervous about people watching, at the same time, it's like, they're all like our friends and family. It's like, I didn't worry that they were going to hate it or be critical. It was just like, nervous about people actually seeing it and like, oh my gosh, like people are watching this. And but it was definitely, it was an awesome experience. I mean, it was so cool. Like, you know, like you said, to see it there on the big screen, it's so just like surreal. It's like, dude, then you start to remember just how much every shot it's like
how much you put into it.
You remember all those little things. You remember the way it smelled on set. You remember the way the hay smelled or way if it's cold or hot, or if it was, you know, if you were tired, all that stuff's just sort of, I kept turning to Tyler and I literally, like, I am that guy in that meme that like you're watching a movie and I'm the guy telling you about how every shot got made. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can't watch the movie because
couldn't enjoy the movie at all.
No, he couldn't. But it was like, you know, it was, but it was just, that's probably the thing that, there's probably like Ducon said, there's probably something deeper there that I should be realizing. But,
that's really what I like about David is I don't view his criticalness as being critical. I like that he can look at a film that he shot and say, here's where I can improve.
Yes,
I need to improve in this area.
Right.
You know,
because you and I have talked since then about things.
He's not looking for accolades, you know, or to be praised for things. He's looking to get better with every little thing. And I've always loved that about you. And that is so awesome to me.
The thing I like about David, which I've seen it's changed since Vincent's Vow, which is a growth. It's a good thing.
Hundreds. I'd learned so
but it's his confidence that he has now.
Yeah.
And I don't think he had as much of it.
I didn't 100%
back then, but like you see him on set this
Unless
weekend,
it was pulling,
and he
focus.
had a heck of a lot more confidence.
He's always had a lot of confidence.
Oh yeah,
I nailed some stuff this weekend.
If you ever need a focus puller, I'm a whiz bang, especially with that little tilta thing.
Yeah.
That little tilta thing. So David bought this. I think I texted you last week, and I was like, "Hey, I think I'm going to buy."
I think you
one
called
of
me
those.
about it.
I called
actually,
him.
yeah.
I was like, "I think I'm going to buy one of those."
Yep.
And so I bought. Mine's coming in on Thursday.
Oh, awesome!
Yeah.
But then we were kind of pulling focus. It was funny. I was over there pulling focus. Hey, let me try that. So I was over there playing. Thomas, he was messing with it, and I was like, "Oh, this is really good." I mean, I was good. I was like, oh yeah, it's like playing a video game, you know,
It's so
like
fun.
nailing focus. And so then Thomas goes, well, here, you can just do it. I go, dude, I'm in the shot. I can't. I was just checking to see. He goes, oh, okay.
Well, there was a couple things. There was a shot where we had this weekend where it was like Jen was walking towards she was like on the stage in the background. She walks toward us, and we're like, I'm following her, and then we tilt down. As we tilt down, there's a glass of like a drink that gets put in front of her. So we're seeing her, we're dolling back, we're tilting, we're turning and tilting, and then we end on the cup, and I have to manually focus and get it. And it was like, and I nailed it like the last two times.
As you always do.
As I always do.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm telling you, that is because of the 50 weddings that I've shot, manually focusing
that's what I'm
everything.
saying.
Walking around with one hand on the lens,
well practiced,
one hand on the 100. Now, I have focus peaking on the cameras, but it's like, I'm telling you, man. Like,
and you've gotten familiar with how sensitive the lenses are.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
As far as how fast they will pull.
Yep.
And that was
we
actually
used those
the one thing.
Rokinons. We used your Rokinon, so it was like I was used to them.
Yeah, so you had shot in a full
Do those
feature with
Rokinons
those.
turn the right way when you focus it?
They go the other way. They go the opposite of like what photography lenses do. But I'd shot on them enough that I remembered. Yeah. There was a couple times where I was like, I missed. I'm like, I turned it the wrong way. I'm like, dang it.
Yeah, the first few days we were shooting, he did mention that. But the thing that I liked was you mentioned confidence. Like, he was uber confident whenever our shot involved a focus pull.
Right. I love it.
And, I love focus pulling.
Because I'm an actor, I'd just sit there and I'm aware, I'm in this headspace of director, visualizing what it's supposed to look like. I'm aware that there's going to be a focus pull, but I'm also acting. And then when Madison or Mike would call cut, I'd look up at David and say, "Did you get it?" And he'd just nailed it.
Yep.
Just like,
you know what?
I never questioned it because I knew it.
If anybody wanted to hire me onto a set and go, I'm not going to pay you, I'd be like, can I be the focus puller then?
Yep.
Because it's like playing video games all day to me.
It's so fun.
It really is.
It's so, I love it. I absolutely love it.
I love playing that.
Tom, I need a focus puller on the Western, pal.
I'll do it. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, I would.
Awesome.
That's very cool.
Do focus pulling. I love doing it.
We had even focus pulling on Vincent's Val was like, because on the red, we were marking it, we would mark our spots, but even then it was never. I always just wanted to I always wanted so badly to just do it, but I knew I couldn't all the time.
There is a tempo to it.
100%.
There's a tempo and there's a rhythm,
and anticipation,
and it's
because you get the people you're shooting are human. I mean, you're not everything is going to be. We're not David Fincher where we get 90 takes and we can make that actor do it exactly the same way. And so it's like you have to be able to you have to, and that's what coming in, like having equipment like a bigger monitor so you can see and that kind of stuff. But instead of the little LCD screen.
And his resilience through all of that's what impresses me. I think you actually had gotten this when you were shooting behind the scenes that night, that fateful night you were talking about when it was cold and rainy. There's this particular shot that we set up. It's dark outside, right? We set up the lights for it and everything, and we set the camera just inside the garage door where you guys were kind of staying warm and out of the rain. But there was 3 different depths.
Oh, this was when the car and you and Madeline.
A particular shot where I was in the foreground, Madeline was in the midground, and then we had a young actor in a car in the background, and they each have lines on this particular shot.
Yeah.
And David would rack from me to Madeline, back to me, all the way over to the back actor and back to Madeline in the same shot.
Right.
No marks. In the dark. He nailed it.
It wasn't just the dark either.
Like,
it was 33 degrees outside and it was raining.
And we had been shooting for 13 hours to that point or something like that. And honestly, when I go back and watch the movie, I watch that shot and I'm like, how did David do that? And like, as an editor, I like to use long shots. I don't like to cut them up in tiny little pieces. Yeah. But you cut them up in tiny little pieces when the long shot doesn't work.
When you got to cut around stuff.
And you can, like, I'm getting close to the end of the movie when I'm going through my rough cut, and you can imagine my excitement when we got to this one. I was like, holy crap, David hit all of those just without even marks. I was super, super impressed. That's one of my favorite shots in the movie. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, it was really
cool. It did look good up there, too.
It looked so good.
Yeah.
Well, there was a shot we did this weekend, and actually got to see part of it. But this shot where it was the one where I was looking in the lens.
Oh,
yeah, that one. Yeah. But it turned out really good.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, the subject matter is questionable, but that shot was really cool because we had like I don't know. We probably should. Is it all right to talk about all this stuff?
Oh yeah,
about
I'm sure.
that?
Oh yeah, I'm sure it's fine.
Like we had dancers and
Yeah.
everything in it, and it was a cool like kind of moving through all of it shot. And David
Awesome.
Choreographed, yeah.
Yeah, it
Very
was
nice.
really neat.
So I had to follow him through, and then we did one where I was behind him, and I say follow him, he was following me. I was.
But we had to
backing up.
time
So you
it
did
so
you
that
did a backtracking
then
and
the
a
other-
front tracking. Okay.
Yeah.
we had to time it so that the dancers were moving around us and moving through.
And then
Yeah,
we-
and get that continuity right with if you're cut between the
Yep.
two shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
because the first one of them had to cut, but the dancer she had to go in front of me, and
Yeah.
and then on the reverse she had to go behind you
Behind,
because is
yeah.
where I would have been. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but it's fun, and Tom did great, and we
You
cut
looked
together
great. I saw a picture. I was like, wow.
Yeah, he looks so
looks
good. There's some stuff we did, dude, with like where he just has to like look up. It's just like I loved lighting it. It just looked.
is
I
fun.
loved how it looked. How it ended
my
up looking,
goodness, wow.
and because we shot the stuff on Saturday, which was like black and white, or we're gonna color it black and white, and then Sunday the stuff we shot, we actually I had to go in and cut together a bunch of shots, and we put them on a backdrop behind. It's a music video. And,
Yeah.
and Jennifer singing, and there's like a band and
Kinda
stuff. but
like
it's
we
up-
did
so
in
the stuff we shot,
Madeline's.
yeah,
Yeah.
stuff we shot
Okay.
Saturday ended up playing behind her.
That's awesome.
So I was up till
He got done. Yeah, he
Yeah.
got done filming and busting his butt on
Oh, and you went and edited the black
Saturday
and white.
night.
and
and then he
it
went
wasn't
and-
like a crazy edit where it had to be
Wow.
it was just shots. But then my computer was screwing. Premiere
Well,
Pro
you
was
had,
being
to,
a butt.
you had to
You know what
render
I-
all of it down.
You know what I started doing today? Started messing around with DaVinci Resolve because I'm getting sick of
Premiere
Pro. I don't know
crashing.
what
Yeah.
the deal is,
It's
man.
it's
It is
inflated. It's
so unbelievable.
bloated now.
Yes. I've literally gone down 2 versions. Not like 2012, 2020 to 29, but I'm talking like 14.3.
Sure.
I'm like I've gone down just to try to get it to work. Oh my God. I can't take an update. It's a joke. It's
Yeah.
a joke. And I don't know. It's like,
The other person I talked to said it was bloated. They said it was
That's the
just
perfect
it's gotten
word.
So
So
big,
much.
and
Yep.
they've added so much junk into it, and they probably should have done like what Resolve did, where they have
Yep.
different modules, and then you can pull from this and go. Because I mean,
Yep.
now it's like you got your coloring and all that stuff is
Yes.
all built into the same thing. I mean, that Final Cut is close, but they've managed to keep it manageable.
yeah.
And I still like Final Cut a lot, but I'm a little ticked off at the price of Max.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But that
Yeah.
what's the Mac Mini, the M1 or whatever that is? That thing is it screams. It's fast.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, I've never had any issues with Premiere. I mean, not anything major, but just in the last,
I mean, it's a big
I
deal
want
if
to
you.
throw it out the window.
It's a big deal if you have to go back in and relearn
yeah.
an editor.
So, because literally what I was doing
It
today
is.
was to go in and all the stuff we shot this weekend. Like I have all that footage. I've got to meet Madison and give it to him. But I was trying to create proxies.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I've done it a
And
bajillion
You
times.
shot
but
all of it in 4K, right?
yeah. So I have a preset that I created that makes proxy. It drops it down to like 720p or something, but
Yeah.
just makes it easier to work with. But it's like I was just doing that, and it would just lock up my whole daggum computer.
There's been new developments
Mhm.
on because you've announced some things that you are thinking about working on.
Mhm.
How much are you willing to talk about?
As much as I've discussed with my wife, that's how much I'm willing to talk about.
So zero.
I have discussed some
Yeah. Okay.
with
So-
my wife.
My question is,
She's praying about it.
Okay, hey, that's
Yeah,
good.
she's
Great.
she's praying about it. We both are.
Dear Lord, please don't let me kill Ducon.
Please don't let me smash my husband in the mouth.
I don't want my children to grow up without a father.
Oh boy. She will be subscribing to the Bravo Creative podcast now.
Hey,
You are her hero. She basically the agreement was, and she feels pretty good about this so far, is that if I allow myself to get paid this time, that it's my job
sure.
and can take care of the family, then she sees no problem with it. And the other agreement is that because I produce everything I work on, that I would set it up to where almost every location we have, my family has a place that they can hang out and we can see each other throughout the day.
That's cool.
It's a great idea.
That's a great idea.
So, and that we would agree that we would work on it together, be involved as a family, so there's not so much time away from each other.
Yeah.
And that when I'm clear out in Neverland imagining how a scene's going to go together, that we can talk about it rather than me just think about it.
Well, she's in the moment with you.
She's in the moment.
Yeah.
With me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think it'd be a good experience for the kids too.
Yeah.
They love watching Vincent's Vow, like the song that we have Madeline sing. They sing it all day long.
Dude, that's awesome. That's cool.
Yeah, and they talk about how they're going to be Evangeline when they grow up.
Really?
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. So
That's adorable.
You know what's funny about that though, Ducon, and it really does make a difference. It's like my wife is involved in the podcast.
Awesome.
She's not. She's a silent partner in it, and I love her for that because what she does is she gives me constant criticism on it. She says, "Stop saying that. Stop doing that. Stop saying kinda all the time." And she we are in that headspace together when we talk about things or when we do stuff. Even if I'm making commercials and things I think it's super important to if we love it, if it's something that we love, it's share it with obviously, the most special person in your life.
Absolutely.
And share that joy with them. And I think if they truly love you, they'll be in there with you on it. And it's good having two heads on it, especially that kind of counterpoint to yourself. Yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned that. And that's basically, I guess that's how much I can share on this new development is nothing set in stone as far as we are 100% doing it. Like we're not sure that that's what we're going to do.
Right.
If an investor came forward tomorrow and had enough money and was like, I want to invest in this project, then we are for sure doing it.
Right.
That much I feel really, really confident about. It's just that there's got to be enough, because I didn't pay myself as an actor, a director, an editor, a producer. If I got in a tight pinch where I needed to pay a bill, and because I was always working on the film, then I was covered. But every bit of that money, including $30,000 to $40,000 out of my own pocket, went to paying everybody else.
Right.
So that was taxing on my wife. It concerned her, and it concerns her that I would approach another film
with that
same way.
Yeah.
And so
rightly so.
Yes,
she should.
And so I've assured her that if I was to do it again, we would budget enough in the budget that I would be paid enough to make it worth it.
Right.
And obviously it's kind of weird saying that when you're the producer and you're paying yourself as a director or even an actor, then it's just kind of a weird dynamic. But
I meant to ask you this the other day.
Yeah.
So in this next endeavor,
yes,
are you planning on acting in it?
Yes.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not going to play the lead, or in this case, the leads.
Leads. That's right.
There is a particular sheriff.
Okay.
That is in this film that I'm very fond of the character, and I'm just not going to let anybody else play it.
Right.
I've spoke dibs on it already.
What part's David Watson going to play?
He's going to play
I'm going to play Cowboy number 8.
Deputy 6 that dies in the first scene.
I would like to be. I was an extra, and I made it in the cut of Vincent's Vow. You can see the back of my head.
Yes, yeah, you do actually.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he's
in the church. Whenever there's I think it's that drone shot.
He was very nervous. Like you can
was.
see him fidgeting.
I was like,
it's
am I
on
doing
a
a good job,
drone
Ducon?
shot.
Am I doing a good job
And
sitting in this
he's
chair, being
fidgeting.
quiet?
It's great.
Did you look at the lens?
No, he didn't.
I didn't
The lens
spy
was
it.
behind him the whole time. But yeah, I do plan on acting in it. It's just going to be one of those things where I'm going to be spending a lot more time behind camera, and
with me.
With David. rubbing his back in the
Yeah,
right spot.
massaging.
Yeah. But I also, and this is just for safety reasons, so I don't get anybody else hurt. I also plan on doing some camera work on very dangerous type stuff to achieve a shot.
Oh, really?
Yeah, dude. I'm not going to stick David on some of these things I come up with. He can see the monitor and tell me what I need to do.
That's fine.
But there's just a few things I won't have other people do.
It's pretty cool.
It's exciting.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah?
Yeah, man.
I am too.
Like cool runaway train stuff, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm
dreaming.
I dreamed up a scene that
I'm just
takes place on a train, but I don't know where we're going to get a train.
I'm just looking forward to working with Ducon again. We haven't really.
Likewise, David.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
Now that was one of those things. I guess you can edit this out if Ducon doesn't want me to tell this story.
Yeah.
But there was a moment, and I think he was right, like neck deep in editing.
Uh-huh.
And I think we were just talking about, and there was some frustration. I think Premiere Pro probably was ticking you off or something, but just the whole process, and you're trying to make it. And Ducon was basically had told me that he's like, I'm never going to make another movie. Like, this is the last one. Like, it's my passion project. It's like, I'm putting everything I've got into it. I'm not doing anymore. And I just remember being like, dude, I'm telling you right now, like, you're going to finish it. You're going to be able to set it aside for a little while, and then you're going to get that itch back.
Right.
And because you're a storyteller and you have such a passion for it. And I basically was like, I'm not going to let you not make more movies.
Right.
Like, you're not allowed to.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't
I
care.
always told my wife the same thing.
Yeah, I
It's
did.
just
I was like, I'm really sorry. I'm just gonna, but it was like,
yeah.
but that was again kind of going back
Yeah.
to the whole process of making a film that takes 3 years really for him. 3 years.
Yeah.
You hit some low points.
Yeah, so
you end up hitting some low points.
A feature film is a
which is why I say
big deal.
David was my anchor. There were twice when I hit such low points where I was just like, what am I doing?
Right.
And would message David, and he would like so kindly drop whatever he was doing. It was clear that he focused completely on Ducon. Let me encourage you in some things. Let me point out some things that I've noticed that you're not paying attention to. That just gave me that boost to say, okay, I can go another step,
Yeah.
And honestly, you could actually say that David Watson saved this film twice.
I got stunt driver credit, and
He
do I
did.
get a credit
Right,
for saving the
Stunt driver credit. Like Dylan was running the camera once.
But that's
David's
one thing that
car,
I've brought up. That's one thing I brought up on this podcast multiple times is there is this process is hard. There's nothing easy about it. There's nothing easy about any aspect of it. There are things that are more fun than other things.
Sure.
Right?
for sure.
There are things that are, and some people find it fun and some people don't find it fun, right?
Mhm.
But none of this gets done by ourselves.
Right.
It really
yeah.
doesn't.
It doesn't.
There is no person that's an island in this process that goes up and is able to do any of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can be and think you're the greatest performer on the planet, but if there's nobody to watch you, who cares?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep. You're just whistling Dixie is all you're doing on that. And I think that's the thing is that, and I was really, really, and actually Jennifer Battelle and I were talking back and forth. There wasn't one single diva on set this weekend.
No, there's
Not one.
Nope.
That's awesome.
There wasn't anybody that you go, oh, that person. Wasn't one.
Mm-mm.
Now, I've done 1 million stage shows, and there's one in every stage show, It's like, oh, my gosh,
Yep.
But that's the thing that you really find down here in this community down here is there's a lot of people that they're very grateful to be where they're at and be able to work and stuff. And
it's I think we were talking about the Vincent's Val crew, and it was like, and it's true. It's like, it's weird. Like we're all different, but it's like we all have this little thing about us that I wouldn't say our tolerance level, but just we care about what we're doing. I think we care about each other, and it's like that just it permeates out, I think, to the other, like the Vincent's Val. Like, I don't remember there being one day where I left and thought, God, that was awful, and these people are terrible, and everybody's a jerk. Not one time.
Well, and also too, don't you have a kind of a confidence that the other person feels as strongly as you do about this, you know?
And you trust them. That's a big thing, is you trust them. Like this weekend, I trust Mike, and I trust Madison, and I trust Brad, and I trust Tyler.
Yeah.
You don't talk about Tyler enough. Like he's always there. Like this weekend, Tyler too was like my first AC. Like it was like anything I needed, he was right there. I didn't have to explain anything. I just said this. And because he and I have worked together so much.
Yeah.
And he was great this weekend too. Just like he and Brad both were just like, and even Thomas, who we've not all worked together. I worked with Thomas, was like a little gaffer, a little grip. He was just awesome. Following Brad around. You could tell he was just soaking it up.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And so it was just, and I think Thomas will be another guy that we'll recruit to some stuff. But anyways, everybody wanted to be there, and everybody wanted to. Just like Vincent's Val, we wanted to do a good job.
Well, and I wasn't even like backstage crew, but I was like, every time we weren't filming, I was over there in David's way. I was like, oh, excuse me. I was over there looking on the screen. Yeah. Oh, let me watch this. Oh, sorry, David. Sorry, you're filming this.
No,
you're welcome. You're welcome to do that on this Western, because once we get it rolling, I definitely want your eye on it.
I love watching and I think that's why I enjoyed doing behind the scenes stuff, is because
you kind of get to be in there.
I just enjoy that process anyways. I enjoy the mechanics of it. And it's like, I can sit here and do this all day. Shoot B-roll of everybody making films, you know? It's fun.
Oh man.
So, well, guys, let's recap real quick.
Okay.
All right, let me get this pulled up. I want to recap real quick. We have Friday, February 12th at 7 p.m., Vincent's Vow, the second screening, the one that doesn't have Tom Baker in it.
Oh.
B&B Theatres, Ozark, Nixa, 12. And there's going to be there's an event that Ducon has made out on Facebook that the Bravo podcast will actually be sharing it out too.
Cool.
So we'll have that out on there. When can they start buying tickets?
Right away.
So you can start buying tickets now, today. If it gets full, that's it, right?
If it gets full and there's enough interest, we'll book another theater.
We'll book another
theater, and we want people to get a chance to see it.
Yeah.
In the theater.
Tell your friends. Yes. Get out and watch it. Spread the word.
Reserve a ticket fast. They're going pretty quick.
And
absolutely,
you know, it would be really cool. It'd be really cool if we could figure out a night to do a Q&A after one of the.
It would.
After one of the screenings.
Yeah.
You know,
we should do that.
Maybe if you could. I just got an idea. We'll wait till after this.
Okay.
Guys, thank you so much for listening. Ducon, David, thank you for coming in, taking the time to come in and talk with us. I will see you February 12th.
Yes.
At the B&B Theatres, Ozark, Nixa 12. You all have a great. Thank you all so much for listening. Bye.
Thank you, guys.
You have been listening to the Bravo Creative Podcast. Analysis of your biometrics have been compiled and calculated. You are now a minuscule part of the collective. Enjoy the rest of your pitiful day.